Mark Schlereth never got word that he wasn't supposed to make it. He wasn't all-state in high school and wasn't a high draft pick. Instead, he became the classic overachiever.
People would tell me that he was a very good player, and so I thought, oh man, that's nice. I'm glad you like him, you know. I mean, we think he's good, but we don't know anything about football.
Colleges did, in particular, the University of Idaho.
He was fortunate to get a scholarship to college, and fortunately went to a small college, so he got a lot more playing time than he would have had he gone to a larger university.
A student of proper blocking techniques, Schlereth worked his way to the 10th round of the 1989 NFL Draft. In 12 seasons with Washington and Denver, the service grad displayed extraordinary grit, fighting through 29 surgeries.
He always seemed to pop back.
The physical pounding made game days bittersweet for the father who recorded each of his son's performances.
I'd physically get sick every Saturday night before a game. When I was visiting him, he'd come, he couldn't get out of bed on a Monday morning. He'd physically crawl out of that bed. You know, a lot of people say, man, you're the luckiest dad in the world, which I feel I am. But there is another side to that football that a lot of people don't see, and that's the Monday after the Sunday.
Schlereth not only endured, he prevailed. And he's got the rings to prove it.
That's my life story, you know, is overcoming obstacles. And you know, I'm thankful for those things that have happened, and not that I would have ever scripted that for my life, but I'm thankful because they have made me who I am.
Thank you all for being here. Think about all the families represented here, the Langdons and the Boozers, and you know, it's amazing to me, having come from Alaska and having played professional sports while those guys were still in high school and then in college, and becoming a Duke fan. And I became a Duke fan simply because there was a couple kids from Alaska that played at Duke. And I think that bond is something that is so special. It is so wonderful to be a part of this evening and to get to come home and be inducted into the Hall of Fame here in the state of Alaska. I accept that honor with such pride. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight and for helping me to accept this award. I'd like to congratulate the class of 2008 and the class of 2007. Some wonderful, wonderful athletes, some wonderful people, as I think you've all witnessed here tonight, some wonderful parents. I have so many people to thank. Obviously, I see some of the guys that I played high school football with, Frank Farrell and Conrad Middlestat. Lauren Dixon came down tonight. My family is here. And just would like to thank the state of Alaska, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, because actually I understand what my dad was talking about in that video, watching your son participate in athletics. My son pitches for the University of Arizona, and we will leave Alaska tonight and head to Georgia to watch my son take on, and his team take on, the University of Georgia Bulldogs. So this was initially scheduled for Friday night, and I said, hey, listen, it means a lot to me to be a Hall of Fame inductee, but it's more to me to be a Hall of Fame father, and I cannot miss my son's games. And you people were kind enough to move this to tonight so that I could be here and participate, and for that I thank you. For my parents, I'd like to say quickly, amazing support. You know, I never heard about what I couldn't do. I think that's a real key to my success. They never told me what I couldn't achieve. And I appreciate that from my mother and father, because they allowed me to dream. Even when that dream was so big that nobody had ever really accomplished it before, they allowed me to dream. And they never took those things away from me. They never, I remember my father saying to me when I was a little boy, one piece of advice he gave me, he said, Mark, find something that you love to do. Find something that you're passionate about, and you'll never have to get up and go to work in the morning. I'm 42 years old. I don't feel like I've worked a day in my life. And I thank you for that, Dad. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank my wife as well. You know, as I mentioned, my son plays at the University of the University of Arizona. And when I watch him, he closes. He's the closing pitcher for the University of Arizona. And when I watch him take the bump on a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon, I physically get ill. And my wife will tell you, I go to a completely different place. I had the opportunity to rush out there for 3 Super Bowls, be introduced as a starter in 3 Super Bowls, and I cannot tell you, there is nothing more terrifying than watching your son trot out to the pitcher's mound. Especially when he's effectively wild, so you never know what you're going to get out of my son. But for my wife, who was always there and always supported me, always took care of me, I know that when you're going through it as a player and you're passionate about what you do for a living, you don't realize the stress that you put on a family. You don't realize what it's like when you can't get yourself out of bed on Monday morning and she has to be there to pick up the pieces and get the kids to school. You don't realize how stressful it is when you play Sunday and you're on an operating table Monday morning 29 different times. So to my wife, I'd like to thank you for being there for me. Without the support of friends and family and wives and kids, you couldn't make these things come true. I remember my first 2, Alex and Daniel, my last Avery, but I remember having surgery right after a game one Sunday afternoon, and or one Monday afternoon, and being at home on Tuesday, ice packs on both knees, actually had both knees operated on, and Lisa had run some errands and left my 2 oldest, who at the time were probably 4 and 5, to take care of Daddy while she went to run a few errands. And I'll never forget laying on the couch down in our basement in Herndon, Virginia. I could hear those 2 little mice stirring up in the kitchen, and just wondering what they were doing. And I called up to them and said, "Hey guys, what are you doing?" "Nothing, Dad. We'll be down in a second." And I remember them coming downstairs and just grins from ear to ear. They were so proud because they had made me a peanut butter, mayonnaise, and cheese sandwich. And they were so proud of themselves. And here I am, less than 24 hours out of surgery, trying to choke down that peanut butter, mayonnaise, and cheese sandwich. And I did get it choked down, by the way, but it took everything I had in me to muster. Maybe one of the toughest accomplishments that I ever was faced with. But they've been a wonderful support group. It's been so much fun to have them and to be with them and to be a family. And I guess lastly, I'd like to say, Carl, 98 years old, absolutely amazing. And they told me that football was tough on my knees. I'm not taking up ski jumping. I'm not going to do that. So I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the Alaska Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, and I am proud to be a member here of the 2008 Sports Hall of Fame. So thank you.